A gorgeous summer's day here in England, and it's racing back again. And would you believe it was 23 years ago a certain Barry Sheene passed away, and it was 50 years ago he won his first World Championship. A 50cc Grand Prix winner, a 125cc Grand Prix winner, 19 500cc Grand Prix wins, and of course those two world titles. And he is the only rider to win a 50 and 500cc Grand Prix. Well, his great friend Steve Parrish has joined us this afternoon. Stavros, as he was to Barry, and 50 years ago, Steve, that first Grand Prix win, it doesn't seem possible, does it?
No, it doesn't. Where was that time? And like you rightly said, 23 years since we lost the fella as well. Time is flying, but I honestly thought it would take longer to get older, but it hasn't. I've got there quickly, it seems.
Yeah.
But I'm astonished to say I worked out some time ago how long it was going to be, or 50 years since he won his first World Championship in 76, of course, and then again in 77. But it is amazing. And sadly, he's not with us, but there's still a few around that remember all those days. And as I think you know now, that Goodwood are celebrating it this year for the three events, the members, the revival and the Festival of Speed, and I'm hoping a lot of the old boys from that era will be along to celebrate it.
Yes, because it's 50 years since James Hunt's title as well, of course. And
yeah.
I think Peter Collins, if you were Speedway.
I think you could be right.
Well, I think he was the same year.
Yeah, I think you're right. What a year it was for motorsport. And I do remember going along to what used to be the great BBC Sportsman of the Year, when it was a proper one, and it does annoy me that nowadays they sift out the top six and that's the end of it all.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was when Jonathan Ray finished second, it frightened everyone because they didn't know half what was going on, did they? Sorry, aeroplane just taking off outside my house. Apologies for that. Yes, and I remember going along to the sports thing, and there was just lots and lots of people from all different sports, but motorsport pretty much dominated that year in 76, 77, or those 2 years.
He was your best friend, wasn't he? I don't think there's any doubt about that. More like a brother. And I love the expression he used and you used at your time. He certainly didn't die wondering, did he, Steve?
No, he didn't. And that was in the book that we co-wrote.
Yeah.
The last day I was with him in Australia, about 3-4 weeks before he passed away, 3 weeks, I think it was. And he just bought a new helicopter and he'd had it all refurbished with engines and interiors and avionics and everything else. And we wandered down and he could barely walk at this point. And he said, oh, well, at least Stavros, and that sort of cheered him up. We're not going to die wondering. And that clearly means whatever you can do, if you can afford it, get on with it and do it, because apparently you're a long time dead. So you need to get out there and do whatever you feel you can do. And we're all a bit guilty, aren't we? Oh, well, it's on my bucket list, but one of these days the bucket list is going to run out.
Yeah. I don't think he had much left on his bucket list, did he?
No, not at all. I think that was pretty empty on that score. Probably a bit more time he'd have liked, but you can't turn those clocks back. Just an interesting thing, and I think it is, because another mate of mine, Eddie Jordan, I saw him 3 years ago, had lunch with him in South Africa when I was out there doing some event out there, and Eddie knew he wasn't really very well. And he said, I've ended up with too much money and not enough time, and that's not the way to do it.
That's
a good throw. Only an Irishman could say that, couldn't they? Really?
Yeah. But we're all getting on a bit, aren't we?
Tell us about it.
We can't hide the fact. I think I've got the old sniper's dot on me already.
Yeah. No, I'm over 70 now, and I woke up last year sometime, like one of those middle of the night screaming moments. Yeah. Jesus Christ, I'm 71.
Oh,
do something. It was.
I have those every night. But back to Barry,
moments from my wife saying you're like a child of 14 years old. So mentally, I think we all are a bit.
I think that's what's kept us going, and memories of Barry as well. I mean, the influence he had on motorcycle racing and so much more, especially in England, but I think throughout the world, especially Europe. I mean, it's hardly ever been replaced, I don't think, do you?
Well, it certainly hasn't over here, has it? There's absolutely question about it. I mean, we had obviously Rossi Mania and Mal Marquez, whatever, but that's sort of probably throughout Europe and particularly in Spain and Italy and places like that. But I do think if you got stopped by a policeman now, as long as he was over 50 years old, he'd say, on your motorbike, who do you think you are, Barry Sheene? A bit like they're still saying, who do you think you are, Sterling Moss? So it was that iconic. And it certainly, he inspired so many people. And I get this a lot because obviously people I knew him very well, but it was not just racing people like myself, it was people on the road. Lots of people motorcycling because Barry Sheene did, because he dragged that black leather jacket, rockers type thing out of motorcycling, and it was all of a sudden, it was the right thing to do. It was sort of fast, colourful and sexy, and Barry Sheene was the man that dragged it into that world. Yeah,
some people used to say he took bikes off the back pages onto the front. But the point is, bikes were never even on the back page before that.
No, they weren't. And we were lucky, I think, in some ways, and probably, again, because of Barry Sheene. But even the TT, George, you'll remember this. There was George Turnbull, Nichols, is it? All the people from the...
absolutely, yeah.
Come along, Nick, you know this, had come along to the Grand Prix particularly, they'd come along to the TT, and motorcycling was in the back pages. But yeah, Barry grabbed hold of Stephanie and dragged it on the front pages. Yeah. He was extremely smart at making himself a cut above the others, I guess, in the marketing world before we had any of this social media and everything else. And he was the man that helped so many racers, because all of a sudden, and I used it a hell of a lot. What do you go somewhere. What do you do for a living? Oh, well, I actually race motorbikes. Oh, yeah. Is it on the dirt? Is it speed? No, Barry Sheene. Ah, right. Got it. Understood. And that was the quickest way of explaining to people what you did. You mentioned his name. And I would imagine there's a lot of people in Europe, same kind of deal. If you mentioned Valentino Rossi, then you did.
Yeah.
They were the key words.
You know, all of us have our own little Barry Sheene stories. Anything to do with bikes. I won't bore you with mine. But I will tell you, I went to the French Grand Prix, which was the first one back in Europe, after the comeback from, I think, the Silverstone crash.
Right.
Yeah. It could have been. Yeah, the first one was South Africa, but I think that probably was the French Grand Prix at Le Mans.
Yeah, in Europe. And I was on a totally packed overnight ferry on Thursday, and all the rest of it. Camping, freezing my what's up, but to see Barry. As a punter, this is before I was employed in the press. And I thought it was only with the Brits, but as soon as he came out and gave that little finger-waggling wave.
With one finger missing.
With one finger missing, thank you. The French went absolutely, and I realised, it's not just us.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we are obviously in the UK, and we saw a lot more of him because he went to all the race meetings and everything else. But I think what people appreciated was Barry Sheene would be sat on the bonnet of his Rolls Royce at Mallory Park at 6 o'clock in the evening, having finished racing at 4 o'clock, and he wouldn't go until he'd signed the last autograph. And there's not many people can do that. I must admit, not that I had as many people after me, but there comes a point where I think, I want to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I went to Kabul the first time I met Barry, and he said to me after the race, do the column, and he said, "I'll show you what we do." We went along. I think it was Chaz Wilkinson, was he the circuit manager? Big queue of people waiting to collect their start money. Barry never queued for anything, did straight to the front. There was no questions asked or anything. Hand went down, a brown paper envelope came out, given to Barry, and off he went. When I left the circuit, he was sat there with a queue, quarter of a mile long, of people waiting for autographs, and every single one was signed. And he had a fantastic way with people. If you didn't know your name, and he could never remember a name, they were always called Ace, weren't they? And they thought Barry knew who they were.
So many people copied that.
Yeah.
They knew, well, morning, Ace.
But Barry was very smart, and it's worth remembering. There's a little bit of knowledge for you here. If he didn't know someone's name, he'd go, what's your name again? And they'd go, John Smith. No, I knew it was John. It was a second name. That was his little trick.
Nick, I'm going to bore you about the Rolls Royce thing. Riding home from Belgian Grand Prix, 1980-ish, 82, 83, can't remember, towards the end of his career, hot day, something's coming up in my mirrors really quickly.
Yeah.
Rush of tyre noise goes past me. Beep, 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 beep on the horn. Green roller BS7.
That's the one, yeah.
And you knew every British bike got that on the way back to the ferry. I seem to remember I was totally controlled. I was stood up in the foot pegs, giving it the whole, Alan Shearer job. It was,
I tell you, it would have been doing 120 miles an hour because that's all a Rolls Royce Shadow 2 would go.
Yeah.
Flat on the floor everywhere he went. Yeah.
Come on then. How do you know that, Stephen? I know the answer. The Nürburgring?
But obviously the Nürburgring was one of them. But you got to remember, I went and bought a Rolls Royce because Barry Sheene had one, and I thought I'd have one. He got his from H.R. Owens, brand new, and mine came from Anglia Car Auction with about 250,000 miles on the clock. Yeah. Seriously, ended up with about 50,000 miles on the clock after I'd been inside there. I travelled a lot with him around. But the Rolls Royce Shadow 1 and 2, same engine, they do 120, and that was the end of it. And that's where it went most of the time, all the time. Yeah.
I think sometimes all of us, probably not you, Steve, but forget he was a really, really top-class motorcycle racer with everything else that went on through the brute advertisements, the Rolls Royce, the helicopter. Him and Stephanie were the Beckhams, weren't they? They were the Beckhams of the 70s. They were making all the headlines. But actually, Barry could ride a motorcycle pretty well, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could. He had a great feel for a motorcycle and so much self-confidence. That's what used to do me. And Barry would never, ever think anyone could beat him. I mean, we all know it happened as time went on. And Kenny Roberts was probably the first chisel that got underneath him. But he had huge amounts of confidence. And he could rely on the times I thought I'd won a flipping race and he'd come past me on the last corner. And I knew he was just thinking, well, if Stavros can go around there 90 mile an hour, I can do it 95. And that was sort of how his brain worked. And it'd be Mick Grant, Roger Marshall, who you name it. And he had huge amounts of self-confidence. And I don't know how you get that. It just happens. You're born with it, I suspect. But yeah, he could ride a motorcycle. And he was a very good mechanic, of course. You've got to remember, he was really good at setting bikes up. He knew what he wanted, and Barry Sheene could have someone, let's say Martin Ogborn, who was his main man, I guess, next to Taddy, the Japanese guy. Barry would come in and say, the rear wheels 2 mil to the left, slightly out of line. And, sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. But if they said they'd adjust it, it'd go faster. Yeah. That's self-confidence. As long as he felt that it was right for him, he would go faster. He could move the handlebars by 2 mil and go faster just because he said he's uncomfortable. And it was an amazing thing to have, and not so many people have it. Yeah.
It's part of so much is up here, isn't it? That's
the smoking a cigarette with a hole in the helmet on the start line, just to unsettle people. That's the sort of things he would do. But there was 2 big crashes that probably brought him more publicity than anything, and really, the crash at Daytona in 1975, Steve, set him into the public's eye, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's the way you want to be in the public eye. There's no question about it. It was quite strange, or the timing was absolutely perfect because they just happened to be doing a documentary on him, didn't it? I think it was.
They did.
Something like Frank Zavanatich or someone.
That's it. It was for ITV, wasn't it?
Yeah. They were doing this documentary on it, and then unbelievably, the rear tyre blew out when he was doing about 180 around the banking, and they captured it all sliding down the road and everything else. And yeah, that just absolutely front page stuff. Motorcycle rider survives this, that, and the other. Then they get him in hospital, don't they? And he's got his fag on again, and then
yeah, that's right.
They're putting pins in his legs, and then of course they followed the story and took the pins out. So yeah, bad timing as far as hurting yourself, but good as far as publicity was concerned, and that really did. It triggered off, I guess, Barry Sheene, the wild, long-haired, good-looking biker. Yeah.
I think that's how him and Stephanie met, didn't they? He wanted some leather. Yeah.
Actually, Stephanie met a bit to do with a guy called Julian Seddon, who you probably do.
Yes, I do, yeah.
Julian Seddon had a model agency in London, in King's Road, as it happens. He was the photographer's agent, and so all the photographers that wanted models, and he'd put them all together and everything else. And that was where Stephanie had been, and she wanted some leathers because she'd seen him probably in the papers with his leathers, wanted to use a set of his leathers for a photo shoot. And Julian got it all together, and the next thing you know, she goes round. I think she knocks on the door and basically didn't come out. But she was, of course, married then, so it was slightly awkward. I don't think the marriage was going that well to her husband. I can't remember. He was the editor of Hustler magazine in the States, actually. Clive McLean, that was it.
Yeah.
McLean, and her surname was McLean then. And that's how they met. And it was over a set of his leathers. And so I think he insisted on, he helped putting them on and taking them off.
And made the front page of the Daily Mirror, I think, when they were at the Austrian Grand Prix, didn't they? With dear old Ted McCauley. Scoop.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And yeah, you're right. The top model, beautiful model, driving around in Rolls Royces, racing motorcycles. It couldn't not be admired. And well, I think a lot of people used to say that all the girls want to be with Barry Sheene and all the boys want to be Barry Sheene.
Yeah,
How it was.
Pretty accurate, I think. I think Richard Williams wrote that in an obituary in The Guardian.
All right. Okay.
And Williams was sort of outraged, really good journalist, a bloke I admire as a writer.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he said that he'd been told by people who knew what they were talking about that Barry wasn't the best motorcycle racer we've ever had. And he just said, I am not having that. I said, imagine, just what you've said, Steve, and always being remembered with a smile.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Barry would get in a temper if things weren't going right, but he wouldn't portray that outwardly, and he'd usually get things fixed up. And that the other thing that was made him a cut above everyone else. He spoke French, he spoke Italian, he spoke a bit of Japanese. He could get by anywhere, and by doing so, he got the best tyres because it would be the Michelins. He'd go be talking to them in French and things like that. And then when they got down to Spain, he'd be getting the best garages because he could communicate and all the things. Bearing in mind, he got chucked out of school, I think, the same age as me at 15 years old, and he taught himself.
Yeah.
Maybe not many people do know this, but he had an amazing memory. Incredible. He knew his own passport number and credit card numbers and remember your phone number. It was ridiculous. And Freddie, his son, is a bit the same. I question, do you know your passport number?
I used to.
No.
Not anymore.
Starts with a P, and mine does. But anyway, even Freddie said, oh, yeah, I remember my passport numbers and things like that. So it's obviously carried on down the line somewhere. That was another little feather in his bow, in his arrow, simply because being smart.
Yeah, and we lose sight of this again. He was a very clever operator, wasn't he?
Sure.
I was totally Star Trek. First interview I ever did in a race paddock was interviewing Raymond Roche because he was the upcoming on a practice day at Silverstone, rode up there.
Yeah.
The pit door smashes open, Barry walks in, abuses Raymond in French, and then says, what's Raimondo got then? And starts crawling into boxes all over his Honda and what have you. While Raymond tries to explain he has hurt his rib, my cutlet. And Barry takes the piss out of him and forgot, it's the French word, his cutlet, and abuses him in French and disappears. And I'm sort of gobsmacked that I have been in the presence.
Yeah.
And of course, the other big crash, and I know we were both there, Steve, was Silverstone, wasn't it?
I think everybody thought they'd lost Barry Sheene that day. You know as well as I do. It was like an aeroplane crash, wasn't it?
It was just what it was like, wasn't it?
Bits and pieces. I think it was
everywhere.
It was Patrick Agoa that went down first. Barry hit his bike. Middleburg hit the debris, and there was bits and pieces all over the place. Petrol tanks on fire. And again, and I'm going to jump on a bit here. I think the reason Barry Sheene didn't have the operation when he should have done with his cancer of his esophagus, I can sense it now. He'd got through everything, and he didn't think anything could beat him. And I think it's easy to get a little bit complacent like that because he should never have survived that crash, frankly, and he did. Bit of luck that the doctor, whose name
Nigel Cobb.
Thank you, Nigel Cobb, had to be in Northampton Hospital, one of the top surgeons you could possibly have, orthopedic surgeon. And I didn't know that, but I interviewed him for the book, as you know, Nick.
Yeah.
And the reason he was based at Northampton is because that's where the majority of car crashes are on the M1. People coming out of London, but by the time they get to Northampton, they fell asleep and then they crash and end up in Northampton General Hospital. And that was why he happened to be there. But a huge, huge operation. And he came back later that year. I went on the back of a motorbike with him that year, same year at Donington Park. He came out of that recovery in 6-8 weeks, I think it was. It was ridiculous. Yeah. But whether he was quite the same after that, I don't really know. It wasn't. It was towards the twilight of his career anyway.
Yes. And
he wanted to come back. He was determined to come back because if you told Barry Sheene he couldn't come back, he would. And went off and got a podium in South Africa, didn't he?
Yeah, yes, I think he did it not on the race back, but I think he did at some stage, didn't he? I remember the race back in Kyalami, was it 1983? I mean,
Yeah.
Just one story then. Chris Carter was doing the BBC radio at that time. He then went to do the television because they were showing the race live in England. BBC rang me and said, could they get an interview with Barry Sheene night before the race? Bang on the door, 9 o'clock in the evening. He's in bed with Stephanie. I said, Barry, Barry, can you really help me? He picked up the phone, the bedside phone, rang the number I gave him and said, hello, it's Barry Sheene. Do you want to talk to me? I mean, it was just so Barry, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, again, he was very good at marketing himself, and he knew where, any more or less any publicity was good publicity. But and then again, that was all front page stuff, wasn't it? The crash at Silverstone. So I remember it was Mari Arms that got to him first, I think. And
it was.
Yes. Yeah. And he was so smashed up, bits and pieces all over the place. Yeah. But he defied everything then. But going on to, sadly, him passing away, I know to start with, he went, bloody cancer, I can fix that. I've been smashed to bits lots of times. I've done this, I've done that. And I genuinely think he thought he could fix it. But I think we all, including, I know Kenny Roberts had a big talk to him, and I did as well, about getting the operation, but it didn't happen. Or it did happen. Well, it nearly did happen. He actually went to hospital. And again, you know this, Nick. Stephanie told us that he went, but it was too late by the time he went into Brisbane.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame. Nick, I can tell you, we only have 8.5 minutes left.
Oh my golly! Right, we right.
Can I ask Steve about Goodwood coming up? Because as you say, all 3 events this year will be celebrating Barry, and you've got some very nice motorbikes in your garage that are going.
I most certainly have, and also the 2 World Championship winning bikes will be shipped along that are in the country as well. They're owned by the Sheene family. They will be sent down to Goodwood, and Freddie will ride one. I might ride one. I'm not too sure who's going to be riding what. Steve Wheatman, the guy that collects all the old Suzuki,
I know Steve.
Has got them, and they'll be along. I'm taking my 76 and 77 RGs that I've got all restored up. I've been actually getting dirty hands, putting new tyres on them and everything else, and they're ready to go. So the sound of the 2 strokes will be zinging around Goodwood, which I don't think happens very often, actually, because it's normally much older period time than that.
It is, yeah.
So that's a lovely noise and smell.
There's the first one I think you've told me already is the members meeting.
Members meeting, which is the 18th, 19th of April. Right. And then it goes to July, which is the Festival of Speed, which happens to be, I should know, but I don't. But there's so many events going on. Oh, yeah, Festival of Speed is the 3 days, 10th, 11th and 12th of July. Mm-hmm. And then in September, we're back for the Revival, which is the biggest and the best one. And that happens on the 18th, 19th, 20th of September. And on top of that, the bikes are coming out at the Shelsley Walsh Hill Climb. Probably be at Mallory Park because they're celebrating.
Yes.
Something at Mallory. I know they're going up to Oliver's Mount because there's a Barry Sheene meeting up there. So RG 500s will be plentiful this year. No question of it.
Excellent news.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Right, just on to you, Steve. Barry or no British rider has achieved what you nearly did, winning the Premier Class race at the British Grand Prix. And it was the very first British Grand Prix. Yeah. And you came so close, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And if I have one regret, and I don't have many because I'm a very lucky man, I've had a great career and I'm still very happy and fit and well. But yeah, you're right. I mean, what an idiot. And as you well bleep it out, you're like, Barry took my pit board off of Martin Brookman, my big mechanic who I still see, and scribbled on it as I came around to start the last lap. And I was expecting to see LL last lap plus 3 or 4, I think it was, I had over John Williams at the time. But it didn't. It said Gassick Wanker. That was what he wrote on my pit board. And he clearly was telepathic because I went past him and crashed at Cox Corner because it had raining. No one ever believes me. But John Williams went to Beckett's and he crashed. It started raining. And Pat Hennon inherited the lead. Won the race, which pretty much scuppered my chance of staying with Suzuki's because it was all about the World Championships. Barry won it. I ended up dropping down to 5th in the World Championship and Pat Hennon got 3rd. So Suzuki's cut their budgets back and I was the one that was shipped out, sadly. But nevertheless, it was always a nice thing happened after that because George Harrison sponsored me the following year. So what a lovely thing to happen. So, but 77 could have been, Steve Parrish could have been the person that won the British Grand Prix and finished third in the World Championship. But there you go. Ifs and buts.
I know. It's the sort of. I'm not quite sure how you can be so sanguine about that little event, Steve. My admiration.
I wasn't at the time, Jules. I can assure you. I was a little pissed off about it all. But there you go. But it's a bit like a movie, isn't it? It's that last thing that happens that it all goes horribly wrong for you. And I'm sliding down the road thinking this is clearly a dream, but it wasn't. And do you know what? I bet you talk to lots of other riders. It's just about Michelle stood beside me now. Up until 4 or 5 years.
Hi, Michelle.
Up until 4 or 5 years ago, I would just as you're falling asleep, I go, oh, like that, and I've lost the front at Silverstone. That's my dream, but I think I've just about got over it now.
Yeah. For a while.
Just one more. We're talking about injuries, and you said Barry would wave his hand, and I think the little finger wasn't there, was it? He had it. No. I think he scraped it on the tarmac. I think at Paul Ricard, he had it off in the end, but. You discovered it, didn't you?
I did discover it. Yeah, it was underneath my Yorkshire pudding at a Sunday roast at the Manor House, and I was just tucking into my Sunday roast that Stephanie had kindly cooked, and there was Franco and Iris there, and all the family, and whatever. And underneath my Yorkshire pudding was his little finger, the bastard. Yeah, I think he wanted my other Yorkshire pudding because I didn't eat much.
Took me wonderful memories, and just makes me smile and laugh. And as I say, in Great Britain, it took 35 years between Barry winning Grand Prix in 1981 in Andersthorpe and Cal Crutchlow, the next British rider, to win a Premier Class Grand Prix in Brno 2016. So that shows the void that he won when he retired, and obviously when he passed away, the void he left.
Yeah, and all good on credit to Cal, who did a great job by winning that, but no one's anywhere near winning the championship, have they? Sadly,
no,
no British rider, not at all. I don't. Who's the next best British as far as championship was concerned after Barry? I can't remember. It was 5th, 6th, 7th, was it? I don't know.
Oh golly, yeah.
No one's cracked the top 3, have they? So
no.
And tragically, I'm not sure if there's no one on the horizon as far as I can see at the moment.
That was my next question. And you got there first. It's difficult to see that situation improving.
It is, I do follow it, not avidly like I used to, of course, but I, keep my eye on what's going on. And sadly, I don't think there's anyone close on it. Not even in Moto2 now, is there? We've not really got anyone about to jump up. And so, I don't know. To me, it's got to be a kid of 14 that's out there somewhere, and hopefully in perhaps, I don't know, 7 or 8 years' time, we might see it. But it's not anywhere in the next 3 or 4 years, from what I can see.
Yeah. No. Never mind the years, Nick. We're under 2 minutes left, sir.
Right. But
back to the Speedway thing. 2 minute walk has been sounded.
Yeah. But whatever happens, Steve, if we find this guy, golly, we all hope we can before we've taken away in a wooden box. But there'll never be another Barry Sheene, will there?
No, because we don't have characters now. It's a very quick question I get asked. Oh, where's the next character coming? How can you have a character that is now an homogenised being that starts racing at 6 years old, spends his life with his mum and dad till he's 15, goes to an academy, has a dietitian, has a psychiatrist, has this, has that, and everything else? They're not proper people anymore. And I'm not knocking it. You've got to do it. Don't tell me something. But they're not going to have a fag behind the bus shelter or have a little, whatever. Their life is nothing like a normal life, the people that come along. So how can they end up being a character? That's
absolutely
right.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. That is it. You're regimented from the start.
Yeah.
Time's run out, Steve. Thank you so much. Just so many wonderful memories for the three of us in different ways.
That is the quickest half hour I've experienced in years talking about that. Wonderful, Steve.
Yeah.
Good. And right, well, lovely talking to you guys. Hope it all goes well, and I'm sure we might see you at Goodwood maybe.
Oh, let's hope so. And don't forget, everybody, Goodwood. Remember the great man, Barry Sheene.
I'll be there. Don't you worry. I'll be waving the flag.
50 years ago, Barry Sheene won that first world title. In 1975, I saw him win his first 500 Grand Prix at Assen. with 25 rather loud, drunk people from Oxford stood on the bank opposite. Yeah, but wonderful memories from Steve Parrish, Jules.
I think
Yeah,
the only race I saw him win was the final classic race at Donington that supported
really?
the Grand Prix.
Yeah, he did.
And the whole of bloody pit lane was hanging over pit wall to watch this Manx Norton with Barry on it come past.
Yeah.
Just
That was just before that. We had a big PR do with Valentino Rossi, and Barry came in Leicester Square, and Barry told me then how that he was not well. Yeah, God, it was quite a poignant moment. Then he went and won the race, didn't he? Yeah.
No, it was obvious at Donington. You just had to look at him and knew the bloke was not in a good place.
No. Oh, wonderful memories. And yeah. Well, MotoGP returns this weekend. Guyana. Oh my God. The party of all party towns. I've never been to anywhere like it. It's the Grand Prix of Brazil. 1987, Wayne Gardner. 1989, Eddie Lawson won the world title for Rothmans Honda. And we celebrated in style.
That was when it was the end of the year. So you were.
It was. It usually, I think it was the penultimate one. Certainly was with Wayne anyway. But yeah. So they're back in Guyana. I wonder if the Zoom Club is still open. I hope so, because anybody who's going there, if it is, you've got to go. The gentleman who owned it would fire a gun into the roof to say they were open for business. Wonderful place. Oh, Guyana. Right. Enough for these old boys talking about their good old days. Right. Motorsport tickets, of course. .com. We know all about them. Formula One, MotoGP, the TT and the Isle of Man, British Superbikes. You can get your tickets from them. Get them from them. QR code on the screen now or via the link in the show notes. And keep supporting us, Jules?
Yes. I mean, subscribe, whether that is just, to get on the mailing list to know that we are dropping a new podcast, or actually pay a few, because it's about a £5, isn't it, to join the Paddock Club, which gets you these gems from, not necessarily from me and Nick, but certainly from the guests. You'll get them earlier. There's a forum, etc. The normal benefits, and it all helps just push us up those algorithms, so that when somebody is searching for some old motorcycle racing content, they might stand a chance of finding us.
Yeah, and I think Barry Sheene might be in the title for the hour this week, don't you?
I think that might be a damn good idea. And next up, we have nearly as something that tugs on the heartstrings nearly as much, don't we?
Because don't we just?
It's Dennis Noyes talking about Nicky Hayden.
Yeah, 2006, his world title came 20 years ago. Barry's came 50 years ago. But of course, it is the Circuit of the Americas. It's the American Grand Prix, Austin, Texas. Dennis will be joining us either from the desert in California or actually from Austin. We'll be talking about racing in America in generally, and Liberty and MotoGP, the modern outlook. But we'll also be remembering another great world champion in Nicky Hayden. Yeah, looking forward to it. So enjoyed this week, Jules. I'm going to go to the pub tonight, chuckling, thinking about Barry Sheene.
As the man said in Richard Williams, I was talking about, he is always remembered with a smile. What can there be any better obituary?